Hey guys, welcome to the channel. It's Carolyn, and today's video I'm going to be teaching you all about the court cards. So I decided it would be really fun today to take the court cards and match them with Disney couples. So I broke it down by putting the page with the knights and then the queen and the kings together for each of the suits. So definitely stay tuned if you want to learn more about the court cards, and hit subscribe if you want to learn more about tarot cards in general. I would love to make a whole series about this. So we're going to start off by talking about the Page of Cups and the Knight of Cups. So for this Disney couple, I picked Flynn and Rapunzel. So the Page of Cups is typically someone who's a daydreamer. They're in their thoughts, they have a lot of plans for the future, but they're not actually taking any action to make those plans a reality. And like Rapunzel, she's stuck in her tower. She's not actually doing anything to make her dreams come true. The Page of Cups is always waiting for their knight in shining armor. Typically, they are very romantic, or they romanticize a lot of things, and they're a little bit naive and gullible when it comes to things.
Ah, there it is. The snuggly duckling. Don't worry, very quaint place. Perfect for you. Don't want you scaring and giving up on this whole endeavor now, do we?
Well, I do like ducklings.
Yay! Garçon! Your finest table, please.
Another thing about the Page of Cups, because they romanticize everything, they are really tapped into that divine feminine energy, and that makes them do really good when it comes to arts or artistic things. And if we know one thing about Rapunzel, with her being in the tower, she does pretty much any artistic thing you can name. She has done it, she has mastered it, and she excels in it. And now when a Page of Cups is unbalanced, they are going to be more sensitive, they are going to be more moody, and they are really going to be very emotional. They take everything personally, and so you can kind of get into arguments when it comes to their feelings. They are very sensitive, and so you have to be delicate around them when they're not in a good place. And now focusing on Flynn, the Knight of Cups, this is someone who's very charismatic. They're a charmer, they know what to say, and they're very flirty. They can be very romantic, and they can actually have a lot to offer sometimes. Now sometimes, depending on if they're balanced or unbalanced, these can be offers where it's a lot of talk but no substance, and other times they actually have actual solid foundations and things that they're trying to bring to you. Now another thing to note is that when they are unbalanced, they can be consumed by vanity, they can be very superficial.
I just can't get my nose right.
They can also be very insecure, and so they can be open to the people that they want to be open to, but if they have a very deep-rooted insecurity, they are going to really run away from it. They're not going to confront it. They don't like confrontation.
So, Flynn, where are you from?
Whoa, sorry, Blondie, I don't do backstory. However, I am becoming very interested in yours. Now,
And so they will leave a situation if they feel like there's something that they don't want to deal with. It's very difficult for them to process information when they're not balanced. So instead of actually dealing with things, they run away from them. So for the Queen and King of Cups, I ended up going with Mulan and Shang. And it kind of took me a little bit to figure out who exactly I wanted to place in this position. Because the Queen of Cups is very nurturing, is very motherly, but they also do things based on your emotions. And I ended up going with Mulan because that's exactly what she does. Every choice she makes is for her family because she loves them and because she cares about them. She doesn't even question putting herself in harm's way if it means saving her father. And that's something that the Queen of Cups would really do. They will protect the people they care about even if it means putting themselves in harm's way. Because the Queen of Cups has really learned to balance imagination with reality. And so even though they want a perfect world, they know that there's some sacrifices they have to make in order to get that. And the Queen of Cups is very balanced when it comes to the decisions they make in their lives. They are going to weigh the pros and cons. They're going to make sure that there's no other option.
Home is that way.
I have to do something.
And the Queen of Cups really doesn't like it when other people suffer. The Queen of Cups is more empathetic, so they are actually very aware of what other people are feeling, what they're going through, and so they're going to do everything they can to make sure that others don't suffer. The Queen of Cups is also highly intuitive, which we can see with Mulan. Like, she's very aware of the things going on around her, and she has a lot of quick ideas that end up saving a lot of people because she's able to trust her intuition.
So what's the plan? You don't have a plan?
Hey, I'm making this up as I go.
And so for Shang, for the King of Cups, this is someone who has worked very hard to be in control of your emotions. This is someone who has really dedicated a lot of time to knowing what the appropriate reaction is. And we can see this with Shang and his dad. When his dad passes away, he's able to continue to move on and fight for what's right because he knows it's what's best in the situation.
The Huns are moving quickly. We'll make better time to the Imperial City through the Tungshao Pass. We're the only hope for the Emperor now. Move out!
And he also acts very diplomatic, which is very typical of a balanced King of Cups. But when the King of Cups is unbalanced, they will act either very cold and distant from the situation, or they will be very intense, very angry, very jealous, very envious of a situation, and you will see their emotions getting the better of them. They will not be able to control themselves. And the King of Cups is always going to try and make the choice for what's right. Because they are trying to be diplomatic, they are going to try and be logical and emotional with things. So that is why we see with Shang, he lets Mulan live because it's a life for a life. And so that's the way that he gets to allow his emotions to tell him what to do, what's right, but also do it in a way that makes logical sense. So for the Page and Knight of Swords, I went with Meg and Hercules. And so the reason I went with this is for the Page of Swords, Meg is very witty, she's very smart, and just like the Page of Swords, she's very adaptable to the situation.
Keep moving, Junior.
Lady. But aren't you a damsel in distress?
I'm a damsel. I'm in distress. I can handle this. Have a nice day.
They can be very quick thinkers and they know what they need to do to adapt. And another thing about the Page of Swords is that when it comes to their past, they can be deeply hurt by it and have a lot of inner wounds. And we see that with Meg.
You sold your soul to me to save your boyfriend's life. And how does this creep thank you? By running off with some babe.
And so she is very jaded when it comes to love. I mean, she has a whole song about how she's not going to fall in love again. So definitely the Page of Swords is someone where when something happens to them, they definitely hold on to that. They can be resentful and they can be jealous. But once they learn how to balance that about themselves, they can actually change it and use it for a positive, where they learn the lesson and continue to be smart and adapting to the different things, where they don't let bad things hold them back as setbacks. And then Hercules, he is very determined. Like the Knight of Swords, this is someone who has a goal and they focus on it. And that's what Hercules' whole point during the movie is. He wants to make it to Mount Olympus. And so he really does everything he can to get there, even with the setbacks, even with the people who don't believe in him. He keeps showing people what he's actually worth. And he keeps honing in on his skills. He even gets a mentor. And that's what the Knight of Swords would do. They are going to learn and get experience from others because they're still the knight. They have a lot to learn. And any of the pages and the knights, everyone is always leveling up to the next thing. So you go from the page to the knight, to the queen, and then to the king. And so the knight has a long way to go before they reach that king status. And so that's really what he's doing. He's learning and he's adapting because he's focused. Now the downside about the Knight of Swords is that they can become too obsessive, where they're too focused on their goal that they become narrow-minded and they lose sight of what's really important in their lives. Now for the Queen and King of Swords, this is a little bit different. I know I said that this was Disney couples, but I could not find an actual couple where one fits the queen but also fits the king. It was either one but not the other. So what I decided to do, I took two people from the same movie. And so the movie that I did is Frozen for this. So we have Elsa for the Queen of Swords, and then we actually have Hans for the King of Swords. And the reason I went with Elsa for the Queen of Swords is that this is someone who gives off the appearance that she is very distant, that she is very cold, but really when she cares about you, she has a heart of gold. And that's what people don't always notice about the Queen of Swords. And that's just like Elsa. She pushed everyone away because she's trying to protect them. She loves Anna, but Anna never feels that way because they never see each other. There's no communication. And that's where the Queen of Swords can sometimes go wrong, where they create this distance between them and others, where people don't really know what their emotions are. So the Queen of Swords can be feeling one type of way, but people always think that they don't care. And that simply isn't the case. Now, when the Queen of Swords is unbalanced, that's when they can become super distant and super cold and callous and mean and cruel. But that's not the case when they are balanced. When they are balanced, sometimes they're simply not aware of how they're portraying themselves. And another thing about the Queen of Swords is that they are very perceptive. And Elsa needs to be perceptive so that she keeps her secret, so that people don't realize that she has powers. And they also speak the honest truth.
You can't marry a man you just met.
And they don't mean to do it in a harsh way, but that's just how they see things. And then the King of Swords, like Hans, this is someone who's very logical and very strategic. And Hans goes into this having a plan. He knows what he's gonna do. But when things get thrown off course, he can adapt and he can adjust. And that's what Hans tries to do during this entire movie. He tries to always be one step ahead. And he actually is for the most part.
As 13th in line in my own kingdom, I didn't stand a chance. I knew I'd have to marry into the throne somewhere.
What are you talking about?
As heir, Elsa was preferable, of course, but no one was getting anywhere with her. But you were so desperate for love, you were willing to marry me just like that. I figured after we married, I'd have to stage a little accident for Elsa.
Hans! No, stop!
But then she doomed herself, and you were dumb enough to go after her.
Please.
All that's left now is to kill Elsa and bring back Summer.
But at the end, when his plan gets foiled, that's when he can kind of lose himself. The King of Swords can be manipulated. They lose their self-control. They lose that restraint that they would have where they would keep things to themselves. And so if you are dealing with a King of Swords who's not balanced, they are going to start messing up. They're going to be making secrets obvious, and they're not really going to be able to control what they're doing or what their actions are, and they are not going to be aware of how people are perceiving them. Typically, the King of Swords is very aware of how people are perceiving him, and he's able to use that to his advantage. So for the Page and Knight of Wands, I chose Ariel and Eric. And now I know some of you might be thinking that Ariel fits better with the Page of Cups, but really, the Page of Cups is about a daydreamer. And yes, Ariel has a lot of dreams, but she's a visionary. She manifests the life she wants. And so yes, while she's dreaming about these things, she's actually setting goals for herself. And the Page of Wands is all about inspiration. It's all about creation. And that's what Ariel does. She's curious and she explores, and she does things that others don't do, but it makes her want something more for herself, and she sees potential in everything, and she's optimistic. The Page of Wands is truly an optimist, and they see the beauty and the potential of everything. And so Ariel trusts the humans even though everyone else is afraid of them, and so she creates this new life for herself with the humans. And she also is impulsive with getting the things she wants because she has so much passion for them that she doesn't always think things through, and that's why she makes a deal with Ursula. Even though it's something that's maybe not wise for her, it gets her where she wants to be. One thing to note about the Page of Wands though, is that when they are disheartened, they lose a lot of hope and they actually get burnt out. And that's what we see with Ariel.
We wish to be married as soon as possible.
Oh, yes, of course, Eric, but these things do take time, you know?
This afternoon, Grimsby. The wedding ship departs at sunset.
Oh. Oh, very well, Eric. As you wish.
When she sees that Eric is going to marry someone else, she gives up. She becomes burnt out. And Eric is the Knight of Wands because he's very spontaneous, but he's a little bit reckless with what he does. And that's something to keep in mind with the Knight of Wands, is that if they are not balanced, they are going to do things that bring destruction to others. And that's kind of what Eric does. You know, he has his sights set on someone that he doesn't know if she truly exists. It could be a fantasy for all he knows. And so he's determined that he is going to marry this girl. And that allows him to be manipulated by Ursula, and it also allows him to put everyone else in harm's way because he's doing things based on his emotions, based on his passions, but they're not based in any fact. And something to keep in mind with the Knight of Wands is not only can they cause destruction, but they can also become very angry when they are unbalanced. Now for the Queen and King of Wands, we have Nala and Simba. And Nala is so fitting for the Queen of Wands because the Queen of Wands is confident, they believe in themselves, they have a lot of influence and a lot of power. And that's something that Nala does well. She has a lot of influence over Simba. She's the one that goes out to find him, to bring him back, and she's determined to get her answers. A Queen of Wands is very focused, and they're very charismatic, and they're not going to take no for an answer no matter how long it takes. She's also someone who likes to have a lot of fun, and that's something about the Queen of Wands. Yes, they're determined, but they're going to have fun in the process. They're going to be playful. Now, something to keep in mind with the Queen of Wands is that when she is unbalanced, it goes one of two ways. She either will lose herself completely and be very insecure, not have any confidence, and have to find herself again, or she will become mean and spiteful. Simba is perfect for the King of Wands. This is someone who is a natural born leader, which Simba is, and especially before Mufasa dies, he's embracing this. He wants to be king. He has plans for what he can do. They will be inspired and they will be determined, and he's determined to be the best king. But after Mufasa dies, Simba kind of becomes an unbalanced King of Wands, where he feels like he's not fit to be a leader, where he feels people would be better off without him.
Simba, if you don't do something soon, everyone will starve.
I can't go back.
Why?
You wouldn't understand.
What wouldn't I understand?
No. It doesn't matter. Hakuna Matata.
What?
Hakuna Matata. It's something I learned out here. Look, sometimes bad things happen.
Simba.
And there's nothing you can do about it. So why worry?
Because it's your responsibility.
Well, what about you? You left?
I left to find help. And I found you. Don't you understand? You're our only hope.
Sorry.
And a lot of King of Wands can fall into the victim mentality, which is exactly what happens with Simba. He blames himself for everything because Scar put it into his head, so he runs away. And that's what will happen when King of Wands are unbalanced, is they put so much pressure on themselves and they start to scrutinize themselves for every little thing in their life. So for the Page and Knight of Pentacles, I know this isn't exactly a Disney couple, it's a Pixar couple, but I couldn't do a couples video and not include them in it. We have Ellie and Carl. And so the reason why I picked Ellie for the Page of Pentacles is because the Page of Pentacles is someone who's very smart. They're a studious person, and that's what Ellie is. She's very curious, and she's going to get a lot of her own answers. And this is also someone who is going to have a lot of goals, a lot of ambitions, and kind of feel like the sky's the limit. And that's how Ellie is. She is very optimistic. She is very goal-focused on reaching whatever she wants and not taking no for an answer. And she feels like she can do whatever she wants. And so the Page of Pentacles is definitely an optimist, where they think that anything is possible. And so when they are not able to get that, when there's delays or things fall through, they become very disheartened. And Ellie is the perfect Page of Pentacles because she is someone who is very smart and she's curious, she's going to explore, she's going to get things. And that's what the Page of Pentacles is all about. It's about seeing new things and bringing them towards you, bringing new ideas towards you. Ellie is super ambitious and she sets a lot of long-term goals. And that's so fitting for the Page of Pentacles because they believe that anything is possible.
My adventure book. You know him. Charles Munns. Explorer. When I get big, I'm going where he's going. South America. It's like America, but south. Wanna know where I'm gonna live? Paradise Falls. A land lost in time.
And they're not going to take no for an answer. They can be stubborn, and we see that with Ellie. When she gets Carl to join her on things, she doesn't compromise what she wants.
What are you doing? Ah! Don't you know this is an exclusive club? Only explorers get in here. Not just any kid off the street with a helmet and a pair of goggles. Do you think you got what it takes? Well, do you? Yeah. All right, you're in. Welcome aboard.
And another thing about the Page of Pentacles is that they are super helpful and they are super warm-hearted, and that's exactly what we see with Ellie. She embraces Carl and they become instant friends. Now, something to keep in mind about the Page of Pentacles, just because they have all these ideas doesn't mean that everything happens. They can face a lot of delays and setbacks, and sometimes they never actually reach their goals that they set out to do. So the Knight of Pentacles is so fitting for Carl. So the Knight of Pentacles is all about small steps towards your goals, and they're more practical with their approach. They're more reliable. It's like the true and tested type of way. And that's exactly what Carl is. He's a lot more reserved when he first meets Ellie.
Good, you promised. No backing out. Well, see you tomorrow, kid. Bye. Adventure is out there! You know, you don't talk very much. I like you.
And she has to get him out of his comfort zone, and he kind of balances her out too. But the Knight of Pentacles is all about like doing things in a steady, reliable way. And so like how we see them save money in the jar little by little, that's definitely something that the Knight of Pentacles would suggest to do. And Carl also has a sense of fear when it comes to change. And that's something that's very typical with the Knight of Pentacles, is that they like to do what they know is safe. They like to stay in their comfort zone, and they don't really like to step out of that. They like to be protected and secure. And we see that with Carl. He doesn't want to let go of the house because he doesn't want to let go of Ellie. And for the Queen and King of Pentacles, we have Tiana and we have Naveen. And so the reason why Tiana is so fitting for the Queen of Pentacles is because she is ambitious, she's hardworking, and she's determined to get her goals. She's very focused, and she doesn't like to take no for an answer. She's going to try and find a way to overcome any obstacle that's in her path. And she's very independent. And the Queen of Pentacles is going to be someone who's going to get what they want no matter what they have to do to get there. They're not afraid to do the dirty work if they have to.
Well, Miss Tiana, rough night for tips, but every little penny counts. Don't you worry, Daddy. We'll be there soon.
They can be very realistic and sometimes intimidating to people, but once you get to know them, you understand that they are really loving, they are caring, and they are protective about the people in their life. Now, something to keep in mind when the Queen of Pentacles is unbalanced, when someone reaches a milestone or accomplishes something before the Queen of Pentacles does, they will become a little bit jealous or envious of that person. And they can act a little bit bitter towards this person too. And now with Naveen, for the King of Pentacles, he is someone who he actually learns a lot of the lessons that the King of Pentacles have to learn. So by the end of the movie, he ends up being a balanced King of Pentacles, where he learns the lesson that money doesn't buy happiness. And it brings a lot of comfort and security with it, but that alone is not enough. During the movie, he's actually the unbalanced King of Pentacles, where he was so dependent on money, and even in the movie, he's looking for someone else to marry who has money, so he doesn't have to go without it. And it's not until he goes on the journey with Tiana that he actually has to learn that money isn't everything. And that's where he starts to let go of his relationship with money, where it's not balanced, where he's too dependent but not doing anything else with his life. And he also doesn't have good money habits. He overspends money that he doesn't have.
But first, I buy everyone here a drink!
With what? At this point, you have two choices. Woo and marry a rich young lady, or get a job.
He doesn't know how to live in a way where he gets things for himself. And the King of Pentacles, once he's balanced, he understands the value of money. He understands how hard he has to work for things, and he's willing to do that. And that's what Naveen learns at the end when him and Tiana open up that restaurant. So I really hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, please give it a big thumbs up. If you haven't already, I would love for you guys to become a part of this family and hit subscribe. And also turn on that bell notification so you don't miss out when I post future videos. I want to do more educational videos like this, but I also do pick a pile readings and zodiac readings. I can't wait to see you all in my next video. Have a good one. Bye.